What if the richest man in Manhattan paid a homeless woman to carry his child and ended up falling in love with her? Stay with us until the end to witness a story that defies logic, rewrites destinies, and proves that the heart cannot be bought or ignored. Victor Hale had everything: jets, skyscrapers, private islands. But at 44, there was one thing his money couldn't buy: legacy. Twice divorced, burned by love, Victor didn't believe in family anymore. Only results. So when the thought of fatherhood resurfaced, he approached it like a business transaction. Find a woman, draft a contract, avoid complications. He never expected to meet her on a freezing street corner. Amara Cole had fallen through every crack in the system. Once a promising art student, life's cruel timing left her homeless and alone, surviving with nothing but a sketch pad and a stubborn will to stay human. Victor spotted her outside a convenience store, knees drawn to her chest, drawing snowflakes on old paper with a dull pencil. Something about her stillness and the chaos arrested him. He offered her a ride, then a meal, then the proposition. "I want a child," he said coldly. "No strings. I'll fund your life. And when it's over, you walk away richer. You'll never have to sleep on a bench again." Amara stared at him, stunned. "You want to buy my body for a baby?" "No. I want to invest in your strength. You'll be safe and free after." It was madness, but so was her life. She accepted. In the Hale mansion, days passed like seasons, gentle on the surface, but turbulent within. Amara was now in her second trimester. Though the contract still lingered like a ghost in the walls, the bond between her and Victor grew undeniably. What started as cold exchanges evolved into long glances over breakfast, walks through the silent gardens, and late-night talks about what freedom truly meant. One night, Amara woke from a nightmare. Breathing heavily, she wandered the hallways until she found the library. She curled up on the couch, trembling. Minutes later, footsteps echoed. It was Victor, wearing nothing but a gray shirt and sweatpants, so unlike his usual tailored perfection. "Are you okay?" he asked, with something new in his voice, real concern. She couldn't speak at first, then finally whispered, "I dreamt the babies were born, and no one came for me. Not even you." Victor sat beside her. "Amara, I'm not good at this. But you're not alone." She looked him straight in the eyes. "Sometimes I feel like you just see me as a luxury incubator." Maybe I did. But now, I see someone braver than anyone I've ever known. You challenge me. You're not afraid of me. And that scares me. She smiled faintly. "You should be scared of people who never question you." In the days that followed, something changed. Victor joined her for breakfast more often. One morning, she found him in the music room, staring at the piano. "Do you play?" she asked. "My mother tried to teach me, but there was never time. Always meetings." She sat beside him. "Play something. Just one note." He hesitated, then pressed a key. It echoed softly. "It's not perfect," he said. "Perfect is overrated," she replied. As the third trimester approached, Amara felt increasing tension, not just in her body, but in her soul. Victor now slept in the guest room next door, not out of obligation, but protection. For her, for the babies. One night, sharp pain woke her. Different, urgent. Stephanie rushed in, followed by Victor with his hair tousled and shirt unbuttoned. "It's time," Stephanie said. Victor didn't think, he acted. He wrapped Amara in a blanket, carried her to the car, and drove like the world depended on it. He never let go of her hand. At the hospital, everything blurred. The team, prearranged by Victor, moved swiftly. But no amount of planning could have prepared him for what came next. 2 cries. 2. A boy. A girl. Victor froze until the nurse offered him a chance. "Do you want to hold them?" He looked to Amara. She nodded. He held the boy, his skin soft, eyes shut tight. Then the girl, tiny, perfect. And something inside Victor broke. "These are everything," he whispered. Amara watched, something shifting deep in her. It wasn't a transaction anymore. It hadn't been for a long time. Victor refused to leave the hospital. He converted a recovery suite into a family room, fed the babies, rocked them to sleep, learned to hum lullabies. One night, Amara caught him sleeping in a chair, both babies nestled in his arms, his features soft, vulnerable. "You gave me peace," he whispered when he noticed her. But with every day came a shadow that claws. Amara would soon leave. That was the deal. Or was it? The recovery room was warm, but Amara's heart was frozen. She stared at the babies, one in each arm, memorizing their faces, knowing she'd have to say goodbye. That's what she'd agreed to. That's what she'd been paid for. Victor stood nearby, silent. "The car is ready," he said. "The apartment. The account." Amara nodded, eyes still on the children. Then he stepped closer. "Are you really leaving?" She didn't answer. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket. "I've read this contract 100 times," he said. "Thought it would protect me from feelings. From you. But it doesn't mean anything now." He tore it apart. "I don't want a deal. I want a life with you." Amara blinked. "You love me." "Yes. And I'm terrified. But I'm not letting you go." She cried. "Ask me to stay." He knelt. "Stay, Amara. Not as a contract. As my family." She whispered, "Okay." Months later, the mansion was no longer silent. There were toys on the floor, a painting in progress in the sunroom, and Victor reading bedtime stories. One afternoon, watching their children giggle in the grass, Victor turned to Amara and said, "I never planned for this, but it's the best thing that's ever happened to me." She smiled. Some miracles come when we stop trying to control everything. They kissed. The twins babbled mama and dada, and the moment wrapped them in something stronger than any contract, real love. The sound of laughter was new to the Hale mansion. Not the polite, forced kind Victor was used to at boardroom galas. This was real, raw. It came from the twins giggling in their cribs, and from Amara, smiling with a kind of joy she thought she had forgotten. Victor stood by the door of the nursery, silently watching her. She was dancing with the girl in her arms, spinning slowly to a jazz song playing from her phone. The sunlight from the tall windows fell on her curls like gold dust. He wasn't supposed to fall in love, but here he was, watching the woman he once thought of as a surrogate hold his child like she had been born for it. And maybe she had. Amara caught him staring and raised an eyebrow. "Enjoying the show?" she teased. "I could watch you forever," he replied, too honest to hide it. She turned away quickly, cheeks flushed. Moments like that had become more frequent. Words they didn't know how to interpret. Silences that spoke louder than declarations. That evening, they had dinner on the patio. No staff, no rules. Just two people and two sleeping infants behind the glass doors. Victor poured wine for her, just a tiny amount. Grape juice for the warrior. He smiled. "Cheers," she said softly, to not walking away. He looked at her, eyes serious. To second chances. The clink of glasses sounded like a promise. The warm breeze rustled the garden leaves as Victor sat on the stone bench beside Amara. The twins were asleep inside, and for the first time in days, silence didn't feel like a burden. Amara glanced at him. "Do you ever wonder who you'd be if none of this had happened?" He didn't answer immediately. He stared ahead, hands folded. "I think I'd still be lonely," he said at last. "I just wouldn't have realized it." Amara looked away, her voice softer now. Sometimes I still feel like I'm dreaming. Like I'll wake up back on that bench, clutching my sketch pad, freezing. Victor turned toward her. You won't. I swear it. She looked into his eyes. But what if you wake up and realize I don't belong in this world? His jaw tensed. Don't say that. It's true. Your life is luxury and legacy. Mine was concrete and chaos. He shook his head. My life was hollow. Until you. For a long time, they just sat there. Two broken pieces learning how to fit. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She wandered into the study, a room she avoided for weeks. It smelled of mahogany and ambition, Victor's world. On his desk, she found a sketch pad. Not hers. His. Inside were drawings. Rough, clumsy lines. Of her. Amara. Laughing. Sleeping. Holding the twins. Dozens of versions. Dozens of moments. She felt her chest tighten. This wasn't just affection. It was devotion. Victor walked in and froze. I wasn't spying, she said quickly. You found it. She held the pad close to her chest. You draw. Only when I miss something I don't want to forget. Amara's heart fluttered. And do you still miss it? He stepped closer, voice low. Not when you're in front of me. Their eyes locked. The space between them crackled with all the words they hadn't said. He lifted his hand, brushing a curl from her cheek. I don't know how to be this version of me, but I want to learn. She leaned into his touch. Then let's learn together. And in the quiet of that study, they kissed, slow, tender, unspoken promises filling the space between heartbeats. Morning light spilled through the curtains as Amara nursed the twins in the quiet comfort of the nursery. Victor walked in holding 2 steaming mugs, her favorite tea in one, black coffee in the other. You've been up since 4, he said softly, handing her the tea. I know, she smiled, but I don't mind. Victor sat on the edge of the couch beside her, watching her with a mix of awe and disbelief. I've run entire companies, faced billion-dollar negotiations, but I've never felt this helpless. You're not helpless, she said. You're learning. Victor looked at the twins, his voice barely audible. What if I'm not enough for them? Amara shifted, surprised. You're more than enough. He sighed. I never had a father figure. Just men who measured success in control and wealth. I'm scared I'll become that I'll ruin them. Amara leaned into him. You won't, because you're already asking the questions that those men never did. Victor stared at her. And what about you? What about me? She asked, gently burping the baby girl. You've given up everything for them. For us. What if one day you regret it? She laughed softly. I didn't give up anything. I found something better. Victor took her hand, squeezed it. I still want to marry you, not because of guilt or responsibility, but because I can't imagine doing any of this without you. Amara looked at him, her eyes warm, then asked me again, when we're not exhausted and there isn't spit up on my shirt. He smiled. Deal. That afternoon, Stephanie arrived with a visitor, Marcia Cole, Amara's estranged aunt. Amara froze when she saw her. Victor had invited her without telling Amara. I thought you might want to reconnect, he said, hesitant. Amara took a deep breath. I haven't seen her in years. I know, but she asked about you. Her aunt approached carefully. I didn't know how to reach you, Amara. I never stopped thinking about you. Amara felt the tears building. Why now? Because I heard your name. And your story, and I realized I let too much time pass. I'm sorry. Victor quietly stepped back, giving them space. That night, Amara stood on the terrace, arms crossed, looking at the skyline. Victor joined her. I shouldn't have done that without asking. No, she said. but I'm glad you did." He looked at her carefully. "You're changing." She smiled. "I think we both are." The garden was quiet, just as Victor had envisioned it. Twinkling string lights dripped across the pergola, soft music echoing in the warm air, and no paparazzi. No investors, just family. Amara walked out onto the stone path, wearing a simple white gown that hugged her form like it had been stitched by memory. Her curls were pinned softly, a few strands brushing her shoulders. She held no bouquet, only the hands of her twins. Victor stood waiting. When she reached him, she whispered, "You look nervous." "I am," he admitted. "I've faced entire boardrooms without blinking, but you're scarier." She smiled. "Good." The officiant began. It was brief, deliberately. This wasn't a show. It was the sealing of a journey. Victor spoke first. "I once thought contracts could protect me, that if I could outline every term, every consequence, I would never be hurt again. But then I met you. You tore my structure apart and gave me chaos. Beautiful, necessary chaos. And from that came clarity. You're not just the mother of my children, Amara. You're the reason I finally understand what love is. And I vow to choose you. Every day. Not because I'm bound, but because I'm free." Tears rolled down Amara's cheeks, but she didn't wipe them away. "My life was survival," she said, "until you. Not because you saved me, but because you saw me when I was invisible. You made space for me where there was none. And now I vow to stand by you, not as someone you hired, not as someone you rescued, but as your equal, your partner, your chaos, your calm." As the sun dipped below the trees, they kissed, soft and sure. The twins clapped, sort of. Mostly they just giggled and flailed their arms, but it was enough to make everyone laugh. Later that night, Victor sat on the terrace, holding both babies as Amara painted in the corner with her sketchbook on her knees. She looked up. "What are you thinking?" He looked down at the twins, then back at her. "That I thought legacy was buildings and companies. But it's them, and it's you." Amara smiled, setting the sketchbook down. "You're not the man I met that night, Victor." He nodded. "Good." She walked over and sat beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. "I used to believe I was disposable," she whispered, "but now I know I'm irreplaceable." Victor kissed her forehead and loved deeply. As the babies drifted off in their arms and the stars blinked above, neither of them spoke again. They didn't have to. This wasn't a story written in contracts or built on deals. This was a story written in heartbeats, in midnight feedings, in second chances. And it had only just begun.